Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny Berba. In this video I'm going to speak about how to start trusting people. How to start trusting people when you've been hurt in the past, you've been let down by people, you've been betrayed. And this is probably, well, it's most definitely contributed to your social anxiety. Social anxiety, again, I've spoken in other videos. Social anxiety consists of the fear of being judged by people, and social anxiety entails that you don't trust people because obviously you don't fully trust yourself. And this is really where low self-esteem comes from, and the lack of confidence. It's really, they're just the same words for this, different words for the same meaning. So when someone says he's got low self-esteem or he has a lack of confidence, it means he's got a lack of trust. Then you go deeper into a lack of trust, it's a lack of self-love. Because at the core of confidence, true confidence, not fake confidence or a facade, which is what a lot of us do sometimes if we're being honest, or we can learn to do that through learned behaviours, watching other people. But true core confidence, authenticity, vulnerability comes from a place of self-love. So I totally know how you feel if this is what you're experiencing and how you're feeling at the moment. Maybe you're feeling ashamed about it. Let me tell you about how I used to feel and how I've overcome it. And it wasn't easy for me to overcome this, so I'm not going to promise you a quick fix method. It was actually absolute hell to go from not trusting myself to trusting myself. But I say that in the context that it was difficult. But of course, it's so rewarding to now trust myself and to transfer that trust on to other people. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you have to trust everyone, because it's just not a perfect world. And I don't think it would be in our interest to trust everyone. So I spoke to one of my students before, and they said to me, you know, Johnny, you're telling me to trust people, you're telling me to be honest and open. I don't think I could be honest with everyone. And I said, no, you're right, I didn't mean that. Obviously, I'm not saying that you be open and you be vulnerable with every person you meet. That wouldn't be socially smart, that wouldn't be using social skills, and that probably wouldn't be in your interest. And not everyone is going to want your vulnerability. Not everyone is going to want your friendship. This is just life. This is one of the things that social anxiety taught me. It's actually a really good truth. So lots of the fears that I suffered for years from social anxiety, they went on to do the opposite. So it started off by blackmailing me and making me feel ashamed about my identity and who I am and everything around socializing with people, to the complete opposite of feeling comfortable, confident, liking people and feeling I can trust people more. And of course, choosing the friendships that I have in my life and choosing to not have certain friendships. So I want to go into this because it's not a topic that I can just explain in 5 minutes, and it's not my style. So I'm sorry if the videos drag out, but this is my style. I like talking things through and philosophizing, because when I do videos like this, I learn things as well, or I say things in a way that I didn't know I could say it, and it's a nice learning lesson for both of us. So let's think of this as good therapy for both of us, because it helps me as well. So let's first start off by saying why you would feel that you can't trust anyone. Why that you feel that, for example, people can't be trusted. Because for many years, and this isn't comfortable, but I didn't trust my mum and dad, I didn't trust my immediate social circle, I didn't fully trust them. And I didn't trust people in general. And of course, I never realised till many years later that I had that same relationship with myself. Like for a moment, and I'm sure the ego does it, so I would say, well, I'm okay, I can be trusted, it's everyone else that is bad. Of course, that wasn't true. So I think the first thing that would really help you, and it's helped me, I'm doing it now in this video, is to identify and be honest about what the reason is that you don't trust people. I know I'm stating the obvious here, but it's always the simple, obvious truths that do the most healing, and they work, and it's the right thing that people need or need to do. So for me, the reason I didn't trust people is because I didn't trust my dad, because he was abusive towards me growing up. And that affected my psychology for many years, and that led on to experiences at school where I got into fights, people tried to bully me. I especially didn't trust men, and then it later projected onto women. Because obviously growing up as a kid, you're interested in women. It happens in every school. A girl would tease you, or lots of girls rejected me, or a few girls rejected me, and I took it personally. And of course, you're kids, you're young. The girls never meaned it. It was never personal, but of course at that age you take things very personal, and you can take those experiences into your adult life, and then it becomes more personal. And a lot of it comes from the unconscious mind, and Carl Jung talks about this a lot. Most of us live our lives through an unconscious perception that is causing us a lot of pain, and a lot of distrust is from unconscious. And I think for me, I can speak for myself, and this could be the case for you, when you don't fully trust people, part of you is in denial, because it's hard to admit that, because to admit that you don't trust other people would obviously have to admit that you're flawed as well. You're not flawed completely, but there's, of course, that is a corresponding law, that is a corresponding feeling. To feel that way towards others is because you feel that about you. So it's taking responsibility, it's being really brave, and it's going into areas of your psyche, of your feelings that are not comfortable. And distrust is not a comfortable emotion, because distrust means disconnected. See, I didn't know I was going to say that. I come out of things I didn't know. So to not trust anyone. And I think, we all experience as human beings feelings of distrust that can change according to the relationships that we got around us, how we feel about ourselves in the present moment and what's going on in our lives. It's quite easy to trust people. If your business is going great, your relationships are going great, you feel great, and that's fantastic. But if something, if life challenges you, if your girlfriend unfortunately cheats on you, or a relationship falls apart, someone hurts you, you can easily fall into the feelings of feeling, well, this person's let me down, I thought I could trust them, and you can easily project that onto other people. And this is just part of life, but that doesn't mean you can't change it. And like anything, trust can be built, it can be rebuilt, and I'm talking about in yourself. I've learned, and I'm still learning even further as I teach lots of people and help them with their anxieties and self-trust and self-confidence. The more we work on ourselves, the less that we have to worry about trying to get these qualities out of people. And of course, when you get those qualities in yourself, this beautiful law of attraction, or what my mentor has spoken about, getting into the right vibration or right frequency, he describes it as the frequency of love. He would say that it's not an emotion, it's an actual universal frequency, and other teachers would also, like Eckhart Tolle, would describe it as presence, the presence within ourselves, which is what Jesus spoke about. So I'm going to say in this video that you need to work on trusting yourself, and I'm going to explain some of the practical ways that I've done that, built that trust in myself, and I've now been teaching it to people. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is developing healthy personal boundaries. For many years I let people walk all over me. One, because I was not in alignment with my true self. Two, because I was afraid of people. And three, because I didn't want people, unconsciously I didn't want people to reject me, because I felt that my father had rejected me, and I didn't want to be rejected by other men or women. So lots of my behaviours were around me protecting myself, which actually made me vulnerable and open for people to abuse me, mostly verbally, because, and I'm not saying this in any sense to be big-headed or brag. I was physically always very capable, because that developed from a young age of being bullied by my dad and people at school, so I became quite hardy. But that didn't really make a difference, because people can find ways to manipulate you. And like I said, we attract what we are. I said, my mentor has said it, whatever frequency we're at, it's likely, and all our relationships will correspond around where we're at with our own integrity. So usually it's common. I'm not saying it's the case all the time, but it's very common, and this has been through my own experience and also studying psychology through practice and teaching others. If you've got a relationship with yourself where you really don't trust yourself, that will probably be orbited or projected, and you'll probably be around people that are also struggling to trust themselves, and that can be very dangerous. This is when we go into things like dysfunctional relationships, like attracts like. So you have to develop a strong sense of personal boundaries. You don't have to overdo it, you don't have to be abusive, you don't have to be angry. As a matter of fact, you don't need to be violent at all. You can be a very nice person, but you have a sense of personal boundaries. I'm just going to try and think of some examples, because I'm being caught right in the moment. So where were some of my shortcomings at the time? One of my biggest sticking points with self-trust and self-love, and how I projected that in my relationships, was I was too much of a people pleaser. I was too much of a people pleaser, and And as an extreme of people pleasing, which is a form of self-sabotaging, self-betrayal, self-hate, that infuriated me. I projected my own hate towards myself, and that caused me to sometimes be aggressive in relationships. So 2 downfalls that led to me having a lack of personal boundaries in relationships. One was my constant people pleasing and saying yes when I didn't always agree with the person, and saying yes in all different formats, saying yes when maybe someone was having a conversation, this is an example, and maybe someone was being racist towards a particular set of people, or just being aggressive, and I didn't agree with it. Spiritually it didn't suit me, and I did not agree with that. I might join them. I might become racist within a conversation when that was not my identity. I was not a racist person, or I did not feel that way about a set of people, but because a friend was saying it, or someone that was in my social circle relationship, I didn't want them to feel, well, I was afraid that they would get upset with me and judge me, and then that would trigger me off, and maybe I'd get into a physical fight. So at the risk of trying to please everyone, I'd agree and then go away with a sense of betrayal, and it wouldn't feel good to feel that you've contributed to being racist or being judgmental towards anyone when you didn't agree with it, especially when you didn't agree with it. So a practice that I started to develop was to listen to a person and say, well, I understand how you feel, and I understand, but I don't feel the same way that you do, and I don't see things in that way, and I don't feel racist towards this set of people, but I understand that anyone, I would justify it, but I would make a strong point of saying I don't agree. In that very moment, that is an act of self-love, and that's also what I call congruency. And people will actually respect you more, even at the risk of a friend saying, I can't believe you said that, you didn't agree with me. Because you can't agree with people all the time, and you shouldn't agree with people, and you shouldn't also agree with everything I say in my videos, because I say so much stuff. There's lots of truth in it. There's going to be things that are not right for you, so you take the bits that are right for you. And that's really, and I didn't know I was even going to say this is how we collect really good knowledge. We apply it in a way that's authentic, and that's why I always say, you hear lots of comments, people will say, a guru can't help you, you're the teacher. Someone else's experience is not yours. Well, there's truth in that, but that can also be an untruth, because a guru can help you. But yes, of course, at the end of the day, it's your life, you know what's best for you. But if that was the case, we wouldn't need teachers, and I wouldn't have a YouTube channel, I wouldn't be able to transform people's lives, and I wouldn't have had a teacher myself to help me. So I'm just making a point of saying how to develop self-trust through identifying what are your values and sticking to those values, even sometimes when it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult for me to be in a conversation and hear someone be angry towards someone or say something I totally don't agree with it, and I know that the person may be brittle, their character might not be as strong as mine, and I don't want to harm them. So that's when we get into things like social calibration, social awareness. We don't say it to hurt, we just say it from the right place. Another example was, I didn't have the ability to say no to doing things that harm me. So the first thing that comes to mind was drugs, alcohol, and sex. So for example, if I was with a group of friends or with a friend, and of course this is friends that I really loved and cared about, they might say, let's go grab some beers. And I don't want to drink alcohol, because at that particular time, I was into my personal development, and I knew that having a few drinks was not just having a few drinks. Having a few drinks would lead to negative conversations, maybe conversations that would involve racism, hate, prejudice towards anyone, any culture, any human, maybe even towards ourselves. Most of the time towards yourself, being hateful towards one another and judging one another and not really having inspiring conversations and being in this. So I didn't want to drink alcohol, and that could lead on to things like casual sex, which is something that I actually probably didn't want to do, but at the time you do it out of ego, you do it out of your own full sense of security and try and impress people. So lots of behaviours that were not authentic to me, but because I didn't have the confidence and the self-esteem at the time and the self-trust for myself, I would just go along and do it. And I suppose in a sense you get some enjoyment, but this is not a good part of your psyche. And this has been commonly said by people like Eckhart Tolle, this is a part of the false ego that enjoys suffering, it enjoys feeding itself, but later on the consequences are you're going to not trust yourself. So you're actually practicing distrust, which is going to make you distrust your friends, your relationships, and yourself through betraying yourself and not speaking up. So again, as I got more congruent, I would say, listen, I'm not going to join you. I don't feel like drinking. If you're going to drink, you're welcome to it. I'm going to have a tea, or I'm going to have a chocolate bar or some fruit, whatever. And most times the person would respect it. There's nothing they could say. And if they did, and a few times friends would try, and I'd just say, listen, don't pressure me, and don't force me, I don't want to drink. So it's knowing how to be firm in the right way at the right time. And this is really the practice what helped me to build more self-trust with myself and other people. And really, and I know this sounds cheesy, but to really love myself and respect myself and to love other people. So everything you do to yourself and how you treat yourself will be how you treat other people. So when I talk about love, or other people do, you really have to get a real firm understanding, and I'm still learning myself, what does it mean to love yourself? What does it mean to love other people? Of course, it's great in a romantic sense to say, I've got this friend and I love this, and I love it, I've got friends I love and I love being around them and they make me feel comfortable and I can be vulnerable, they don't make me feel judged, we talk about all kinds of things, we have a great, that's amazing, I love that. But it's also nice to say, I actually love myself to the point where sometimes I will, I'll have to cut some relationships because they're not right for me, or I have to walk away. And sometimes these uncomfortable moments that we have, they go on to make us feel amazing and develop more relationships. So this is and I didn't know I was going to say this today, but this has come from my experience. This is how we develop self-trust, and this is one of the prime reasons how we overcome social anxiety. And just the act of doing what I've said will lead on to you with the things that you really want, like attracting the right girlfriend, or if you're a woman watching this, attracting the right man, attracting the right business, improving your finances, healing all the things that matter in life. That's why I'm so passionate about self-improvement in this aspect, and not self-improvement where you read about stuff. You read it, you watch a few video blogs and you go, that sounds great. You have to implement it. So yeah, watching this video now, I believe spiritually, this is therapeutic. I'm a very spiritual man. I believe just watching this video now, hopefully people have watched this and immediately felt a sense of love going through their body and a sense of self-trust. I feel that, no doubt in my mind. But you've got to go away and practice that. And eventually it becomes, it'll become what I always say, natural. So you haven't got to overthink, can I trust this person, am I practicing self-love? It will become part of your character. But for it to become part of your character, like I said before, you've got to take the mask off until you're comfortable and confident in yourself. And of course, we're always topping up, we're always learning more. You've got, you're not perfect. I've made loads of mistakes and you'll keep making mistakes, but you'll get them right. So this is really what I've said, the practice of integrity. And then you start realizing that you don't have to worry about, can you trust your friends, or can you trust your family, or can you trust this new person you're going to date because you've been hurt. Just you actually building that relationship with you and loving yourself more. Well, I can't explain it, but you'll understand it for you. And maybe you're doing what I'm saying already, you're at this level already. So that's how you develop self-trust, overcome social anxiety, build a great relationship with yourself, and start building that with other people. And it will also protect you from people that are, if you feel they're trying, because that's how I used to feel, people are trying to take advantage of me, they're trying to harm me, they're out to get me. So it will keep those people away. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about my coaching and read my articles, I write a lot about this stuff, go to my website www.johnnyberba.com. Thank you for the support, I appreciate it. Remember, to start trusting other people, you work on trusting yourself. Love you guys, see you soon, bye.